Hi, in this lesson we will learn to play some huge, expanded and really nice sounding jazz chords. It could be a chord like this, or this, or this one. The idea is to use a rather simple but powerful technique. With this technique, we can play many different kinds of expanded jazz chords. We can also use the technique to improvise a solo like this. This may sound advanced, but actually we will make some shortcuts and explore some rather easy methods to do this. Because I believe that when we perform and play music, we must avoid troubling our mind with too much advanced theory stuff. If we instead can find some shortcuts, our solo play actually gets better because we can instead concentrate our energy on music, feelings and expressions. We will, of course, also talk music theory in this lesson, but that's when we make reflections on what we actually play. So, for a start, we will skip the theory and concentrate on learning the techniques and just play some music. Okay. Put your left hand on the keys like this. With this left hand chord pattern, we can actually do a lot of things. I will show you later on. Now look closely on this pattern. Our hand spans over a major seventh interval, right? In the middle of our chord, we got two additional stepwise notes, a major second apart from each other. These two notes are placed so we have a major third to the pinky and a perfect fourth to the thumb. Well, this was the left hand chord pattern. Now we will add some upper structure. Our right hand simply plays a major triad. In this case we add the G major triad. So now we have this nice sound. The upper structure G major triad we play in this inversion with the triad keynote G in the middle and the third on the top. If we occasionally double the fifth of the triad like this, we can provide the triad with some smashing energy, and I just love that sound. Okay. We can move this entire structure to different places on the keyboard. So let's try to place our left hand here. The left hand chord pattern is all the same, just at another place on the keys. We got the major 7 distance between the pinky and the thumb, and the two stepwise notes in the middle, right? So our left hand grip can be placed anywhere on the keys. Here, here, or here. Now, where to place the right hand triad when the left hand moves around? We need some guidance here. Okay, look at your left hand middle finger. This finger actually points out the keynote of the triad. Now the middle finger is pointing at the G note, so we just play the G triad on the top. And if we choose to move our left hand to this location, then we must play the B flat triad, right? And with our left hand here, we play the D flat triad and the C triad. So, we need to practice all this. Start with the left hand only. learn the left hand in all 12 tonalities. And when you feel ready, try to add the triad on top. And when you are up to it, just fool around. Place the left hand at random places and let the right hand follow. Look at your left hand middle finger. This finger points out where to place the upper structure triad. We have to be totally familiar with the 12 left hand positions to do this random fool around exercise. And we must be able quickly to add the triad on the top of the left hand voicing. But when this manual rehearse is done, this fooling around exercise is really fun work. Now try to add the right hand middle finger just in between the index finger and the ring finger. Now we are to a greater extent able to make small melodies. So we can either play huge chords like this, or we can add the middle finger and play the upper structure in an arpeggio style, and we can play a little melodic solo on top of the left hand chord. Okay, this was a whole lot of things to grasp, but if we master this rather simple voicing technique, we can actually do a lot of stuff when playing and improvising jazz. I will show you later on in this lesson. So the efforts learning this will not be wasted, that's for sure. So let me summarize what we have learned so far. We have made this left hand grip spanning over a major 7th interval. This hand grip can be placed on 12 locations on the keys. What we need to do is to practice the different positions carefully. In the right hand we can add a major triad. Look at the left hand middle finger. This finger points out the key note of the triad. Practice the different positions of the left hand while adding the triad with the right hand. When playing an arpeggio solo, you can add the middle finger note to the triad and play a more melodic solo. Fooling around with the chords is really fun. Try out different chord progressions. Go up with a minor third, how does this sound? Go down with a whole step, how does this sound? Go down with a half step, how does this sound? Notice we are already playing music, and we just use some simple basic techniques. Of course, we need to rehearse these techniques carefully, but still, the techniques in use are rather simple. Later on, we will add some more stuff and we will talk theory, and we will discover that we can use this very technique for a lot of different stuff. But for now, we will just enjoy that we already, without thinking theory, actually improvise a nice sounding, free jazzy solo. Okay, in a minute we will expand our technique so we are able to do even more thrilling stuff. So stay tuned. Here we have our well-known left-hand chord pattern. Having the middle finger pointing at the G note, we found out that it sounds great playing the G major triad chord in the right hand. Now, what if we move the G chord a whole step down to the F chord? How does that sound? Well, not bad, don't you agree? And now we are able to play any pattern on one of the triads and then repeat that pattern on the other triad. And this is so cool. To be able to repeat patterns and motifs different places on the keys in an easy way is really great for us when improvising. So, we will still use our middle finger as mnemonic pointer. And whatever note the middle finger is pointing at, we can play that specific major triad on the top. Plus, we can play a major triad a whole step below. And at both triads, we can add the middle finger just between the index finger and the ring finger. In that way, we are able to play a more melodic solo. Okay, if we learn to play the left hand in just one more inversion, we will be able to play more stuff and more smooth chord progressions. So what we do is that we simply take the two lower notes and put them on the top. And here we got the same notes as before, but now the chord is inverted. From now on, we call this chord pattern inversion 2, and this chord pattern inversion 1. Now, look at this inversion 2 chord. The chord is now spanning over a minor seventh. In the middle, we have two notes a half step from each other. From the pinky to the middle finger, we got a perfect fourth, and from the thumb to the index finger, we got a major third. Well, the two inversions look like each other in many ways, but notice, in the second inversion chord, we got the sharp dissonant here, in the middle of the chord. This dissonance can, by the way, be resolved like this. In the first inversion chord, we have the sharp dissonance spread out to the outer points, and we can resolve the dissonant in the same manner. The upper structure triads are all the same, no matter if we choose inversion 1 or 2. So if we have an inversion 1 chord in the left hand, we must look at our middle finger to derive the triads, in this case the G note. If we play an inversion 2 chord, we must look at the thumb to derive the triads. Still the G note, right? Okay, we take it once more because this is important. Playing inversion 1, we use the middle finger as the mnemonic pointer. Playing inversion 2, we use the thumb. Now, what we need to do is to rehearse the second inversion chord in all 12 places on the keyboard, just as we did before with the first inversion chord. And then we add the upper structure using the left hand thumb as mnemonic pointer. And then we just fool around, playing the structures at random places, exploring the potential of this technique. And if we feel for it, we can add another triad one whole step below the original triad. And we can add the right hand middle finger to play a more melodic solo. Now Again, notice, we are already playing music without thinking music theory. We are just fooling around with chords, having fun. Doing this fun exercise, we automatically learn the different positions for the left-hand chord pattern and how to place the right-hand upper structures. Okay, now we'll move on and find out how we can use all the stuff we have learned so far. What kind of jazz chords can we play using this technique? Well, I'm sure you will be surprised how much great stuff we can do, so stay tuned. Well, if we have this first inversion chord in the left hand, and we play F in the bass, we hear this very well-known chord, the dominant 7 chord. In the left hand we have the 3rd and the 7th. Together with the bass note, these notes makes what we call the quality of the chord, in this case the dominant 7 quality. Then we add all the expanded spicy notes. Here we have the 9th and the 13th. And if we add the G triad, we also have this sharp 11th. Listen. Yeah. I just love this sharp 11 sound. So bright and also a little naughty, right? And having the sharp 11th inside our right hand triad, we can really play around with this sharp 11 note in a thrilling way. Listen. In short, we call this F7, 9, sharp 11, 13 chord, F13, sharp 11. Okay. If we move our left hand chord down to this second inversion chord, we can make a really smooth voicing, right? And if we lower the bass note with a perfect 5th, we now have the B flat dominant 7 chord. This B flat dominant 7 chord is the exact same type as the F dominant 7 chord we analyzed before. 3rd, 7th, 9th, 13th and sharp 11th. So now we can make a chord progression from one dominant 7th chord to another following a descending 5th sequence. And what about adding some triads in the right hand? And what about adding the 3rd finger to the triads to make a more melodic solo? Okay, let's look at another interesting chord. Here we have our B flat dominant 7 chord, right? And then we just do like this. We spread it out to a first inversion chord and we keep the B flat note in the bass. So what do we have here? Look, we still got the 3rd and the 7th. So this chord still has the quality of a dominant 7 chord. But the expansion notes have changed. They are altered. The 13th has been altered to a flat 13th. The 9th has been altered to an augmented 9th. Let's add the triads. This is a first inversion chord, so we look at the middle finger, the G flat note, and we make the G flat triad. Now, this triad contains only notes we already have in use. But what if we move the triad a whole step down to the E triad? Okay, with the E triad we add the altered flat 9th and the altered diminished 5th. Wow, what a sound, right? So almost every note in this chord is altered compared to the dominant 7-13 sharp 11th chord we have played earlier. The only notes that are not altered are the root, the 3rd and the 7th. The 3 notes that makes the quality of a dominant 7 chord. So despite all these alterations, the chord is still a dominant 7 chord. The most short and accurate name for this chord is simply B flat 7 altered. Now let's try to play F13 to B flat 13 to B flat altered. Well, this is a really nice voicing, don't you think? And let's add the triads. And let's improvise a solo. When you rehearse this chord progression, start with the left hand only. Then try to add the bass note if you have no bass player around. Then add the upper structure. It may take some time to learn this, but rehearse everything carefully in smaller chunks and have patience, and you will learn to master this. By the way, thanks so much for all your music life stories in the comments to the former video. All your stories really inspire me. So yeah, I just want to say thanks a lot, and what a relief to find out that I'm not the only one in this world having a manual job, driving the bus to make a living and to be free with my life and my music. You can read all the comments at my former video. I will paste a link in the description below. Okay, let's move on. So here we have the F13 chord. But if we change the bass note to the A note, what sound do we have here? Well, as I have shown you earlier, we can resolve the dissonance like this, and then we have the A minor 7th flat 5 chord, a very common chord when playing jazz. And using our left hand chord pattern, we can add this very nice suspended effect using the 4th. And if we feel like it, we can resolve the 4th to the minor 3rd. What I think is really great about this 4th note is that it's both a suspension note, but it's also a sharp dissonance together with the flat 5 note. So we have a really spicy chord here. And if things are getting too spicy, we simply just resolve the 4th. Now, if we want to play a 2-5-1 chord progression in G minor, it would be very nice to play this A minor 7 flat 5 chord and then the D7 altered chord. This chord we can locate here in the first inversion. Look, here we have the 3rd and the 7th that makes the quality of the chord, plus the altered notes, flat 13th and the augmented 9th. And then we go to a brand new chord, the tonic G minor 6-9 chord, also a very common chord when playing jazz. In this case, we play the chord in second inversion. Let's rehearse this chord progression. Notice we use our well-known left-hand chord pattern all the time. In this case, we use a first inversion chord here and here, and then we use a second inversion chord here. So, what it's really all about is to find out where to place the left-hand chord pattern in relation to the bass note, and we got all the different chords. When we get to the theory section later on, it will become clearer to us how to connect the position of the bass and the chord pattern to play the different chord qualities. Okay, notice we can make this little descending stepwise melody to connect the chords in a smoother voicing. Let's hear the melody again with the voicing. Now I'm trying to emphasize the melody. Okay, let's add the triads to the progression. At the first chord we use the middle finger as mnemonic pointer. And we do the same at the next chord. At the last second inversion chord we use the thumb as mnemonic pointer. Okay, let's have a closer look at the A minor 7 flat 5 chord. Listen what happens when we put on the G triad. We add the major 9th, the B note. This sounds really, really cool, I think. A bright and clear tearing up sound to this otherwise dark minor flat 5 chord, don't you think? Okay, what about the tonic G minor 6-9 chord? What happens when we add the D triad on this chord? Then we simply add the major 7th to the chord, making the chord even more tonic. And we also add a bright, clear sound to this chord, I think. Really nice, right? Let's hear the chord progression once more. Now notice, if we add 2 triads to every chord, as we have learned earlier, we can make a stepwise ascending sequence with the right hand. Let me see if I can play this right. Beautiful, isn't it? A huge jazzy sound. Let's hear it again. by the way, thanks a lot for all the donations I've received lately. With these donations, I've been able to cut down the hours driving the bus, and in return, I've been able to make even more free videos to the New Jazz community. So thanks a lot, girls and guys. I'm really grateful. So if you feel for it, you can make a single donation on PayPal or a monthly contribution on Patreon. I'm very grateful for even the smallest amounts. Okay, before moving on, let's summarize what we have learned so far. We are now familiar with a very useful left-hand chord pattern. This chord pattern we play in only two inversions, inversion 1 and inversion 2. In the right hand, we can add a triad using the left hand thumb or middle finger as mnemonic pointer. A whole step below our triad, we can play another triad. With these left-hand chord patterns and right-hand upper structures, we can make huge jazz chords. Or we can play a solo adding the right-hand middle finger to the triads. We can just fool around and play a free jazz solo like this. Or we can add the bass note to specify the quality of the chords. And we can actually do a lot more interesting stuff with this single chord pattern. But we will wait with all that for some future lessons, one step at a time. Eventually, we will have it all. Okay, now it's time to make some theory into all this. What is all this stuff we have learned? Furthermore, the theory will help us to find out where to place the bass note compared to the left-hand chord pattern to achieve the different chord qualities. So, the theory will indeed help us to understand this powerful technique. Here we got the ascending melodic minor scale in C. This scale starts up as a minor scale and ends up as a major scale, right? Now, if we play our left-hand chord pattern here, the chord fits the scale, right? All the notes inside the chord are contained by the C melodic minor scale. It's only this location for our hand pattern and our second inversion, of course, that fits the scale. Let's add the two triads. Look, both triads also fit the C melodic minor scale. The G triad contains only C melodic minor notes, and so does the F triad. These two triads are the only major triads that fit the C melodic minor scale. By adding the two triads to our left-hand chord, we actually play every single note inside the melodic minor scale. Now, here comes the trick. If we move the bass note to different degrees of the melodic minor scale, we actually obtain different chord qualities. So if we play the C melodic minor first degree in the bass, the C note, we got the minor 6-9 major 7 chord, right? If we move the bass to the 4th degree F note, well, then we have the dominant 7-13 chord with the sharp 11th. If we from there move the bass note up a tritone interval to the 7th degree B note, we got the dominant 7 altered chord. If we move the bass a whole step down to the 6th degree, the A note, we got the minor 7 flat 5 chord. We can make other thrilling, more modern and exotic chords by moving the bass to the other notes on the melodic minor scale. But we will save that exploration for a future lesson. We just have to save some of the good stuff, else this lesson will be too long, I think. But you can already now explore the sounds on your own hand. Try to move the bass around and listen to the different characteristics and features of the melodic minor scale and its chord patterns. In a previous lesson, we talk a lot more theory about the ascending melodic minor scales, and we play the scales upon different kinds of 2-5-1 chord progressions. I will paste a link in the description below. Furthermore, I have made a video about building a very useful tool using a cardboard and some sewing thread. With this handy tool, you can look up all degrees of the melodic minor scale in all tonalities. I will also paste a link to that video in the description. Well, this lesson must have an end. There is a lot more thrilling stuff we can do with our left-hand chord pattern when playing jazz, but I will save that for later on, one step at a time. In the next lesson, we should make some useful exercises, I think, using the techniques we have learned in this lesson. So, in the next lesson, we will get much more into the practice of our chord pattern and upper structures, improving our skills so we can make benefit from all the stuff we have learned in this lesson. But I'm sorry, we must have patience. My lessons take about 3 or 4 weeks to prepare, because I want my lessons to be thorough. They should have a certain quality, and I just can't retain that quality making a lesson every week or every day for that matter. I'm simply not fast enough to do that. So I surely hope you have patience with me. But with help from all your donations, I'm now able to cut down the hours driving the bus and still make a living. In return, I've been able to make more videos. I think in 2017 I made a new lesson about every 5th week. Now we have a new lesson about every 3rd week. So thanks a lot for all your donations. I'm so grateful. In the future, I hope I can cut down the bus driving to maybe 3 or 2 days a week and still make a living. But we must see how everything goes. Well, that's it for now. See you in about 3 weeks, and we will have fun doing some useful jazz exercises with our chord pattern. The best and warm regards from Oliver Prehn.